Board.
Yep, go ahead.
And we're going to do the virtual version of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it
stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
for all.
Including Hillary.
All right. And that delay is always interesting for that. All right. So the public notice, as chairman of the board of the town of Newton, New Hampshire, I find that due to the state of emergency declared in by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to executive order 2020-4, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe or listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. Excuse me. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are utilizing Zoom conferencing software for the electronic meeting. All members of the board have the ability to communicate during the meeting through the platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone: 929-205-6099. Meeting ID number is 869-075-36632, or using the link provided. We previously gave the notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the conference call via phone. If anyone has a problem, please email bossecretary@newtonnh.net. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during the meeting shall be done by roll call vote. So what I'd like to do is, this is our COVID-19 response meeting, but since we didn't meet last week, we have some other not necessarily COVID-related items on the agenda, but I would like to start with Trish's usual update, flow down from the calls, COVID-19 related. Trish, if you don't mind.
Sure. And I did consolidate this in the effort of everybody's time, so thank you. So we usually start off with numbers. So just to let you know, currently in New Hampshire with COVID, we have 6,693. That's up 375 from last time we spoke. Recovered is 5,915. That's up 67. Deaths attributed, 418. That's up 13 since last week when we spoke. Current COVID cases are 360. That's actually down 208, which is great. Hospitalizations, we're at 698. That's up only 17 since we last spoke. And that was total hospitalizations. Current is only 23, and that's down 3 since we last spoke. Highlights from the governor. We have, as you know, New Hampshire schools are stocking up on personal protective equipment to help protect students and staff during the classroom and decisions for this fall's educational venue. Sununu also said the state will lean on its stockpile of equipment to help the schools that are actually struggling. They said many New Hampshire school districts are preparing to bring students back for in-person classes at least part of the time. To do that, school districts are stocking up on masks, gloves, and even items as gowns and face shields for the nurses. Under the state guidelines, however, masks aren't mandated for students when seated in the classroom, but they are highly recommended. School districts actually can impose their own mask mandate. Teachers and staffers who work with students are encouraged to wear masks when physical distancing is difficult to maintain, and outside visitors are required to wear masks. On our calls, to keep going, and again, I consolidated a lot of this. Obviously today, a lot of the talk was about the storm. We actually had 95,000 people without power at the height of the storm. Connecticut was greatly impacted, and as a result, our Eversource crews are actually helping Connecticut. So they're saying that we may wait longer for some of our New Hampshire areas to be brought back up to snuff, so to speak. They also said they were looking to see if this could be a presidential disaster, but there was no flash flooding, no evacuations of campgrounds or other areas. So we're not likely to see the 2.1 million in damages, which is actually the minimum threshold in order to declare a presidential disaster declaration. Secretary of State, as I've shared on some of the last calls, the staff has been working really hard, and distribution begins next week. So this is all for elections. So the person picking up materials, which has been designated as Larry, had to have been previously identified, which he did. And they're now recommending that he needs a large SUV or pickup truck in order to pick up what is going to be shipped for our elections. A question was asked, so what is being included in the election items that are being sent to us? And they said, interestingly enough, plexiglass petitions, paint for marking social distancing, pens, pencils, goggles, gowns, masks, and potentially even other items that individual towns have asked for. And what is being shipped is based on the numbers of our historical voter numbers and other data. Like I know Bob and Mary Jo sent data out. So we have, I think she asked for 6,000 absentee ballots, and Bob, you probably know better than I. So it's that in addition to many other things. Then another question was, is there an exit strategy for getting out of the state emergency? And the answer is the governor has stated he intends to keep the state of emergency in place until there's actually a vaccine. And they further stated, we are unaware of any other strategy or plan from the governor's office. They reminded us that, again, they're expecting a large shipment of hand sanitizers that will be distributed, obviously, to the EMDs, and then it could go out to schools if they needed. The JIC, there's a lot of social media and talk focused on the Boston Public School staff protesting, returning to work, mask ordinances, and also Bike Week. We did have a huge PPE delivery that was delayed because of the storm, so hopefully that will maybe show up today or tomorrow. Actually, I think Larry said he is picking up more tomorrow. Let me move on. The local laws, obviously in Massachusetts, COVID cases, that's a lot of talk out there in the social media land and at the state operating center. Also talk of lifting the reusable bag ban and the COVID vaccine trials. They also said that the talk on reopening schools, as a result, the CDC updated their guide for opening, and this is businesses, municipalities, and so forth. And some of the highlights that they talked about was increase your circulation of outdoor air as much as possible by opening windows and doors or using fans. Obviously, don't open doors or window if it poses a safety or health risk for the occupants. They said modify or adjust seats and furniture or workstations to maintain social distancing. Install transparent shields, which, as you know, if you've been to town hall, we've done that, or other physical barriers. And there's another update I'll have to give you on that after this, but this is what the CDC said. Wherever possible, separate employees and visitors. Arrange chairs if you have a reception area or other seating area by spacing or actually removing chairs. Put chairs outside if you want people to wait outside. They reminded us that employees should not share desks, phones, pens, headsets, etc. So this would come into play really in all our town buildings. The library, they should have a designated person that's going to answer the phone. Town hall, like I don't know if Mary Jo and Cheverell have two phones, but if they do, they should only answer their own phone, only sit at their own desks. Transfer station, I don't know if Pete is on, same thing. If you've got multiple people answering the phone, they say restrict it so that somebody is the designated person to answer the phone. They said use methods to physically separate employees in all areas of the building, including meeting rooms, break rooms. Try using separating or replacing high-touch areas or come up with alternatives like coffee pots, use bulk snacks instead of individual prepackaged, encourage staff to bring their own water, minimize the use of touching water fountains, or considering installing a no-touch activation method for water fountains. They said, again, consider taking steps, I think we've talked about this, to improve ventilation in the building. Consult an HVAC professional to see how our HVAC system is, or consider using portable high-efficiency HEPA fans or filtration systems in the individual offices. CDC said suggested staggering shifts and start times and break times, and clean and disinfect high-touch surfaces. They said develop a plan, at least daily, clean and disinfect all surfaces that are frequently touched by multiple people, like doors, handles, desks, light switches, faucets, workstations, keyboards, telephones, handrails, printers, copiers, drinking fountains. And more frequent cleaning and disinfecting may be required based on the level of use. They also said if hard surfaces are dirty, clean them first using detergent or soap and water before you disinfect them. And they suggested no touch trash cans when possible, take off the covers. And I think we've talked to Tony and that's what he's doing. And that it. That's it except for the EOC updates. So that's it for the updates on the calls. Do you want me to continue, Matt?
On the
EOC updates, this was all the calls that I just did for you.
Yeah, so EOC update, yeah, why don't you give us that?
Yeah, because there's a little bit that Bob might be interested in. So
okay.
Obviously, some of the updates, the Lexon panels are in at the library. We had an issue, I don't want to say an issue, but a person who expressed concern at the town hall. Two people were at the windows. Mary Jo, I think, was marrying somebody, and Cheryl was, had an appointment, a prearranged appointment with somebody else. So the comment was, there's no panel between those two windows with people standing there. So I know originally when we all talked about this, they said they would do one at a time, one appointment at a time, so we weren't worried about that. But now it does seem to be an issue. So Larry had me get a hold of Mark from Newton Glass to come down. I met him yesterday afternoon to measure a partition in between Mary Jo and Cheryl's windows on the outside of the window. And then he went inside to measure between where Mary Jo and Cheryl would stand for another Lexon piece. And then just a piece of Lexon that could go in between their desks. So it wouldn't be mounted. It would be something that we could move around, but we could put it in between their desks, push the desks together, and now they're safe if they're each at their desk because their seats were not 6 feet apart. We also, because of elections, we went out to get prices for tents, and some of the prices we got a 30 by 30 tent price of $1,800. And then the lady said, do you want lights? I said, oh, I've never done this before. I guess we need lights. So it was $150 for lights. If we want sides, it was $60 per side based on that 30-30 measurement because you paid by the linear foot. And they said the sides open like a curtain. And then I said, what if we needed a smaller tent, say, for the supervisors of the checklist? And that would be an additional $250. I also asked about a deposit. They said because of COVID and because they had to return so many deposits, probably on weddings or whatever, they are not requiring a deposit. And they said if at the last minute we found a different location and wanted to cancel, there's no cancellation fee. They would set up the day before. I said that if it's in our fire station area, we don't want things being put into the new pavement. And they said concrete blocks could hold it down, and they would take it down the day after voting. And that being said, Larry and the chief, to throw out another curve for the selectmen and Bob and Mary Jo.
So I'm sorry, Trish, I hate to interrupt.
Yeah.
What you have right here, is it all election related?
It's what?
Is
all
it all
elections, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's come back to that.
Okay.
That's another agenda item, so hold on to that.
Okay.
What I did want to do is,
Can I,
I did,
oh, yeah, go ahead. I have a little bit more. Want me to finish?
yeah, if you want to save the election stuff when we talk about elections,
Okay.
but you have
I'll
stuff.
save elections. The other thing that the selectmen should know is Larry and the chiefs and I have been invited to a meeting next Wednesday for a POD, which is stands for a point of distribution, a drive-through vaccine at the Kingston High School for COVID. This is the first meeting. It's in its beginning baby stages. So a few towns have been involved. We actually had to get numbers to bring back to this meeting next Wednesday from Andrea. So she has helped us on that. We needed household numbers and population. So that just to let you know that this is out there, that they're working on a drive-through vaccine. And if it happens, if we think it would make sense for our area, it would be at the parking lot at the Kingston High School. And that's it for my stuff.
Okay, great. So like I said, we'll come back to that election stuff on the agenda. So thank you for summarizing all that fast and furious information. What I did want to do next on the agenda is we had a resident ask us to revisit an agenda item from 2 weeks ago. The road agent had come forward with some quotes for Thornell Road paving. I did want to just really quick, for those who may have not been on these calls before, we're getting pretty good at this whole delay and all this stuff and trying to talk. So if you're not speaking, we ask that people go on mute, which it looks like most people are. When you do speak, so we can keep one conversation, we ask that you wait for the chair to recognize you, which basically says, you know, Matt, can I say something? And I'll let you know when you can proceed. The road agent is on as an elected official. For those who don't know, the road agent is an independent elected official. He's on the ballot every 3 years. He's voted by the residents to handle the management of our roads, our town roads, and everything that goes with that. So what we typically do, if you think of roads, you're thinking of the selectmen are basically the sort of writing the checks for the projects, where the road agent is doing all the management of the project. So Thornell Road is currently underway. By way of background, I see that Mike is on, our road agent. So Mike, did you want to tell us sort of background about this project, where we stand, what we have set up?
Yeah, I am here, Matt. Is it more efficient just to answer questions that might be exact questions, so we don't have to relive it? I'll do it any way you want, but if there's specific questions regarding this, I think we should just go right into the questions that need to be answered.
Okay, so I believe Mr. Faniff looks like he's on. Jeff Faniff was the resident who asked to add this to the agenda again. Are you on?
Okay.
Looks like he may be on mute. What's the mute on the phones again, Diane?
Star 6.
Star 6, yep.
Right. So if you hit start, there you go.
All right, now I'm here. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Okay, so based on the parameters that you just set, you said that the road agent handles the actual construction part of it. And as far as the financial part, that's up to the Board of Selectmen. Is that correct?
Yeah, as far as approving the checks and stuff like that, yes.
Because based on the 2-minute and 30-second discussion you guys had on the 21st, the bid was awarded to Bell and Flynn. If I understood correctly, and I'm reading the minutes correctly, both Brock's and Bell and Flynn were equal in quality and workmanship. So my question simply is, why are we paying $3,000 more for this when we don't have to, and when we shouldn't be?
I can take that, Matt.
Go ahead, Mike.
Now knowing what the specific question is, I can fill in the blanks. So I'm going to go back to last year's bid proposals, and we can kind of stop there, or we will wear out a phone. In 2019, this went out to bid as it does every year. The difference in spread between the low bidder and the second bidder last year was $27,140.85. Brock's was low bidder. With that much of a spread, there's no sense of a discussion or my recommendation to go with the second bidder because we're talking apples and oranges. Here's the issue, and what I said I still stand by. Brock's and Bell and Flynn have equal quality. The difference is Brock's is a much bigger company, and they have they actually have 2 A paving crews, which are their best crews. And then they have 4 or 5 Bs, they have 4 or 5 Cs, and then they sub it out to multiple vendors. So with Brock,
I spent all day Friday at Brock's, but go ahead.
Okay. Are you going to find that everything I tell you is factual?
No, I'm learning some of what you're telling me.
So
Okay.
go ahead, Mike. Mike, go ahead.
So here's the situation. When you award it to Brock's, you never know what crew you are going to get. Now, if I'm going to get their A team, they do an excellent job. And I've worked with these guys, and I know the foreman on their A crews. But typically, Brock's is so big, the town stuff is not a priority to them. They're going to do the highways. They're going to do the production stuff. They're going to do stuff where they get, 5, 6, 7,000 ton a day with their A crews. Last year specifically, we awarded this job to Brock's, and it bid on roughly 9/17 last year with the bid specs to start paving on 9/28. So I talked to my salesman. He said, well, we got some weather issues, so it's going to run a little late. I said, okay, we can live with that. That's real world in construction. Well, it ran more than a little late. They sent the reclaimer here on November 25th. And last year, I had already put sand and salt down prior to November 25th. So they missed the window of paving last year because they couldn't meet the schedule. Now we'll go to Bell and Flynn. Bell and Flynn is a 1 paving crew operation. When you deal with Bell and Flynn, you talk directly to the owner, and you know what crew you're going to get. They only have 1 crew, and they do an excellent job.
Okay. Why have we used Brock's for the last several years then?
Because they come up with a banging number. As I said last year, the difference between the second bidder and first bidder last year was $27,000.
All right. Well, I don't even care about last year. That's last year.
So you just asked me why we use them in the past.
All right, but you're saying that if you pick Brock's, you're going to get a tiered system of paving employees, which I take to mean it's a mixed bag as to what the end product could look like.
That is correct.
Is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
Meeting on the 21st. On the meeting at the 20th, and Mr. Pavera, I'm not looking to bash you here. I want to make that perfectly clear. You do a lot for this town. I know that. That's not lost on me. And as a veteran, I appreciate that as well. So I just want to make sure that you understand that this has nothing to do with you. This has to do with the money. And based on the conversation on the 21st, that, as I said, took a little bit more than 2 minutes to award this contract, we overpaid by $3,000. What you said was both of them are equal in workmanship and quality and all that. Now Brock's has a tiered system on any given day. I'll buy all that, and I'll buy the comment about, it's demoralizing for companies to bid year in and year out and not get awarded the contract. But the town, I don't know who, is the one that is responsible for enforcing the purchase policy. But if you read the first paragraph, and I'll be more than happy to read it, this is known collectively as the purchase policy of the town of Newton. It is to assure efficiency and quality in spending of public funds and to demonstrate to the public that they are receiving the best product and service for the best possible price, as well as ensure that the goods and services required by the departments of the town, that will be you, are required in a timely manner and at the most economical price. Now, we have not done any of that here. I don't care what anybody says, we've not done that. You guys as selectmen, you reserve the right to negotiate. You reserve the right to award on the best arrangement for the town of Newton, price, and other factors considered. Nobody questioned this overpayment of $3,000. If these are apples to apples, and I have no doubt they are, why are we paying them $3,000 more? We're supposed to go back and negotiate and say, Bell and Flynn, you want it, sharpen your pencil, drop it down 3 dimes, and the contract is yours. I don't care who pays it, but I don't want to overpay by $3,000, and there's no reason to. It's unjustifiable based on what I've heard here.
So let me ask you this.
And this actually shouldn't have reached this far where I had to come before the Board of Selectmen, because the very next night I sent an email to our esteemed chairman, and he sent me some saccharine-laced response, and then it just went from there. So, you know, this really could have been discussed offline, but I shouldn't have to bring this sort of thing where we're overpaying by $3,000. There's no logical explanation for it. And I'm not the only one that knows about this, and I'm not the only one that's upset about it. I'm the only.
Mr. Chair, may I speak?
Yeah, so let me just address that. This was done in a public meeting, so we understand that you're not the only one who knows about this. But Lisa, go ahead.
All right, I just wanted to address a few things. I realize this is not going to change this particular resident's mind, and I'm not looking to change anyone's mind. I'm just looking to provide the information. So what I would like to say is it's not exactly apples to apples because of the issue that we ran into last year with them failing to meet our schedule, and the fact that we went from a very large difference in a bid price, such as the $27,000, to only a $3,000 difference. That made it more appealing to go with the other company where we have a better confidence level that they will be able to meet our schedule and not their schedule.
Okay,
Yeah,
what's that got to do with overpaying by $3,000?
Because we have certain needs. Now, the resident also read the bidding policy, but he only read part of it. The part he didn't read was the part where it doesn't always have to go out for a sealed bid, because if there are things like architecture and engineering, and even this particular paving contract falls into this category where it is not just about price. We are not just buying hot top, we are buying a service.
Yeah, I read that you're reading paragraph 3 under the exceptions. It doesn't apply.
But see, that's excuse me, Mr. Fan, if I am not finished.
Lisa, finish, please.
And the selectmen are able to choose, based on their best interests of the town, what vendor will be best for the town to use. And in this particular case, we took the valued, knowledgeable information from our road agent, and we made our decision based on that.
Yeah, and the thing I would add is, as Lisa said, there are many considerations, and we took, as she said, we took these all under consideration. This wasn't the first time most of us have done this. We've worked with Mike before on these projects, and we've spoken to him offline in meetings, and we tend to trust the guidance he gives us that the town voted to elect him to do so. So you're talking about overpayment. I see it as a vote we made unanimously, by the way, all 5 of us, to do the project in this way because we felt it was in the best interest of the town to go with this vendor at this time on this project.
When was that all discussed? Because none of that's on the record.
Well, what I'm saying is if
Lisa just said that there was all these machinations that were done. None of that is on the record. I've asked for all this information, and the information I got today is spotty.
Yeah, well,
you guys can sugarcoat this in any way you want. You should just go back to Bell and Flynn and tell them to sharpen their pencil by the $3 grand. I mean, I don't understand why there's the resistance to this. To save money yeah, that's a question.
It is. So let me finish my statement. Mike, is that a question you want to answer?
Well, I can answer the question, and I'm not going to try to be evasive to the question, but this is not a lump sum bid quantity price, and no paving contract is. It's based by tonnage in square yardage. So that contract might underbid by the $3,000 if we don't hit the tonnage. It may overbid by $3,000 if we go over on the tonnage. This is not an exact science. It's 5,900 feet of road. If it's off a quarter of an inch in depth, the tonnage is going to change drastically.
Okay, well, that's where I spoke with Brox, and that's not accurate.
How is that not accurate?
As long as they give me the correct way and the linear feet, the parameters to punch in the numbers for this are not difficult. What changes the price is the price of liquid asphalt pursuant to New Hampshire DOT's regulations. That's what creates the big fluctuation in price of the product. As far as the linear feet and all of that, that's all standard, and it's all in the bid docs here.
No.
Allowing for overrances, but
the liquid asphalt does change the price of the materials. The liquid asphalt does not change the yield of the material that goes down on the road.
Understood.
And I don't know if you've ever worked with a paving crew, but I've been doing this 38 years. It's not a precise science. They check it with an engineering ruler as they're going to make sure their depth is good prior to compaction.
Well, I spoke with, is it Mark Nicodus from Brox?
I don't know who Mark is.
Well, I went over a lot of this with him and Keith DeMambro. So
you mean Kevin DeMambro?
Kevin, Keith, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, Kevin wasn't here when this bid went out. He's been my salesman for 7 years, and he left Brox and went to work for a different company. So if he's back, he's only come back in the past 2 weeks.
Well, somebody gave me his phone number.
All right, so he might be back. But
well, in any case, I mean, I don't understand. You said in the meeting it's apples to apples, and I don't want to beat around the bush with this anymore or drag this on because you guys are trying to justify what you did. And
so let me ask this question so we can move along. And I'll run this by the Board of Selectmen for their blessing first. So the job's already been awarded to Brox. I mean, to Bell and Flynn. They have the job. Based upon discussions we've had, I've awarded the job to Bell and Flynn. Now, I have no problem going to John Bell tomorrow and asking him to meet the tonnage prices for Brox. But let's take it the next sequence. He tells me I can't, because Brox makes the product. Brox is the manufacturer of the product, so they set the number.
I tried explaining that to our chairman in the email that Bell and Flynn gets their products from Brox, but
well, they don't. But sometimes they do. This job, they are not getting it from Brox. So I'll go back to
Why?
Bell and Flynn and ask them to match, I'll go back and ask them to match the price. He tells me no
Can I
tomorrow.
Can I
Go
ask
ahead.
why wouldn't you're not getting the product from Brock's for this L Road?
We're getting it from a closer supplier. When they haul it from Brock's, they haul it out of Drake.
They don't bring it from Merrimack?
Nope. That is not their main production. That's not their main production plant. They bring it out of Drake.
Where is this other plant located?
Whose other plant?
Sorry, I
The
think
plant I'm
we're
getting?
getting a little off track
Yeah,
here.
a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, listen,
So-
at the end of the day,
So let me jump in here. So Mike just put something on the table, I think, for the Board of Selectmen. And I would like to hear from the board on that. My thing is, and it's the same thing when I voted before, and I'm one vote, but my thing is, as long as we're getting the quality that we expect, then I'm okay if Mike wants to have that conversation with the vendor. What's the rest of the board think?
It's Kate here. Can you hear me?
Kate, go ahead.
Hi. All things must be literally equal. So it has to be the same quality and it has to be completed in the season in which we need the job done, which is a big concern. That's my 2 cents.
How about,
and last year, Brock's failed miserably at that one.
so,
Which is why we
Oh.
made,
This is
there are
the
reasons.
first time it's being mentioned.
But Matt, can you discuss the reputation issue?
Right,
Yeah,
one
you know, I
second.
would-
Mr.
would-
Feniff, it may not have been discussed at the time that we were considering the bid. However, it was discussed back in November, and yes, you would have to go back to some of the meeting videos or minutes. And it was discussed and brought up by the road agent at the time that we ran into the scheduling issues.
And the only other thing I would add to that, Lisa, as Kate just alluded to here, is that very often when you're talking about vendors in a public meeting, you have to be careful what you say for the risk it might expose to the town. And we do have the ability under 91A reputation. We can talk about things such as this in a non-public meeting. But Larry, what are your thoughts?
If he wants to go back to Bell and Flynn to ask him, but, a contract was awarded, it's awarded.
How
Well, I
about-
emailed Matt the next day, but for
How
what
about
that's
Charlie?
worth.
Well,
Well,
hey,
I'm
I read your email and I called the board that day, and the board did not want to revisit the vote. But Charlie, go ahead.
Okay, I want to say my piece
Go
because
ahead.
I vote, when I vote, I'm confident in my vote, or I'll vote no. Everybody knows that. Now, before the vote, I turned around and I called the old road agent, Frank Gibbs, and I asked him. And he told me, he said, they're about the same. He says, but you're going to get a better job out of Bell and Flynn versus you out of Brock's. He said the same thing to me that Mike just told you. And for $3,000, it's not a big deal to spend that extra money to know that you are going to get a good road. Now, Bell and Flynn used to do all the roads when Frank was the road agent, just so that you know. And you can call Frank and he'll tell you the same thing. And for Mike to go back,
He did
and
tell me
ask
that.
these people, and if you turn around and you go back and ask Bell and Flynn to cut the price by $3,000 just to please a resident, he's going to cut it somewhere $3,000. So it's not
Not
worth.
to please a resident. This isn't to please me. I don't care who pays the road. Mike, you can pave it. I don't care who pays the road. But if all things are being equal as they have been driven home, why
But
are we
did you-
paying $3,000
Did you read
more?
the contracts? Did you read the contracts and the warranties and stuff that they're going to give? Brock
I
isn't
did.
giving the warranty. I don't think that Brock's giving the warranty that Bell and Flynn's giving. And they've got in all kinds of extra. They've got in there a water truck. and that's extra.
Oh, they both charge extra for that stuff.
It isn't on Bell and Flynn's contract, so I wouldn't pay it.
All right. Charlie, it sounds like you're done. Do you have anything more?
Nope.
Okay. Lisa, anything else to add?
No, I think I pretty much said my position and why I voted the way I did. And I stand by it.
Me
And
too.
I stand by the amount that was awarded.
Yeah. So I guess it basically, is there anybody on the board who wants to make a motion right now? All right. We do not have a motion, so it sounds like we're standing by the original vote.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I appreciate the time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, thank you, guys. You got anything else for me? Or is
I
that
don't
it?
No, I don't think for you. So thank you.
Can I
Okay,
say
guys.
something? It's Kate again. Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it seems like we're, Mr. Fanfi, we're not on the same page. The vote I made was because it was not comparable. From what I've heard and what we've heard tonight, having a job done by a certain crew within a certain period of time and one not is not a comparable job. That's all I have to say.
That is correct.
on that.
No, that
Thank
is
you.
correct. Your
Put that
assessment
in
of
the
that is
record.
correct.
There is no way
Yep.
that those were comparable. I wish if they had been, we would not have voted the same way.
Okay, well, now you guys are saying it's a different story. That's not what was said in the 2 minutes and 32 seconds on the 21st of July. You guys can justify it any way you want. The fact that you just spoke up and said what you said further buttresses the point that you guys are backpedaling. You said that the jobs were equal, the companies were equal, and now you overpaid by $3,000. If you can live with that, and it sounds like you guys all can live with it. Sounds like, and it naturally can, because it's not your money, it's everybody else's money. So I just hope that you can live with that, and I hope that you're happy with the decision that you made. And I appreciate you speaking up, Kate. Thank you.
And
All
just one last final statement here
Go
to
ahead.
clarify. The decision is not made based on everything that you hear that night. It is based on information that has appeared in public meetings or been said in public meetings in the past as well. It is also based on, because we know the topics that are going to be discussed. We as individuals do our research so that we
Right.
can make any discussions or any questions that we need to make. If we have no questions or concerns and we're confident in the information we have, there is not much for us to say, unless a member of the public is there to question why we are making a decision at the time that we are making it. And then, of course, we can go into it even further. But without the questioning at the time of the meeting, there is no need to talk for the sake of talking.
Well, I'm glad you think that it's talk for the sake of talking.
All right.
That's a
So I don't think we're going
brilliant
to,
statement.
I don't think we're going to change it. So we're going to move on down the agenda. So, okay. So we have item C, which is upcoming elections. So I know, Trish, you had kind of alluded to some of this stuff already. Do you want to kind of pick up where we left off there? I think you're on
Sorry,
mute.
I was muted.
Thank you.
So I'll just, so part of the COVID calls were to remind the EMDs to, because of elections coming up, we should go out and search prices. We couldn't get, EOC tried to get a tent covered for free. That isn't happening. They are not doing that, but they gave us vendors that we have started to call. So I don't know if I need to re-say what maybe I do, because I don't know if Mary Jo was on when I did this before. So one of the local vendors to us, I asked, because again, you know, I've never done that. We've never ordered a tent before, especially for elections. So we ballparked, okay, we went out, we looked at the parking lot. What do we need? Possibly a 30 by 30 was $1,800. Plus, if we want lights, which I said I imagine we do, that's $150. The sides were $60 per side, and that's a linear foot. It was actually $2 per linear foot. I'm sorry. Did someone just ask me a question? No, I don't think so. Okay.
Just like I said earlier, if you're not speaking right now, if you could go on mute. So go ahead, Trish.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So if we got a different size, obviously think of that $2 per linear foot. They also said that the sides open like curtains. We said that we didn't want something that was going to damage the pavement if we decided to do this at the new fire station. And again, no decisions have been made. This was just to get something for Bob and Mary Jo to kind of, chew on and spit out if necessary. And then I said, well, I don't know if we'd need a small tent for the supervisors of the checklist. So a smaller tent was $250. I asked if they needed a deposit. They said they were not requiring deposits because of COVID. They had so many cancellations in the past, I imagine weddings or whatever, and had to return deposits, that they said they are now not taking deposits. We would have to sign a contract, but in the contract it says if we decided that we had another venue that we could use, which I'm gonna get into next, there would be no cancellation fee. They said they would come in the day before, because I reminded them that, typically we're there for elections for about 15, 16 hours. They said they'd come the day before to set it up before elections, and the day after to take it down. So because we were doing this and looking at various alternatives, we even talked about doing a drive-through at the fire station. But Larry and the chief also have been down at the Memorial School. And the thought was, since we recently now learned that school's not going to be opening, could we actually do it in the auditorium? And Larry can probably jump in if he wants, but one of the things that's going on down there is some, everything is being stored in the auditorium. So I don't know if the selectmen want to check on this as a potential use, if Bob Dismelik and Mary Jo think this is feasible, or if you want Larry or I to do it. But again, I just wanted to toss that out about the election stuff that the EOC said that we should check into. So that's my spin.
All right. So I guess you lead to the number one question here is, and I'll put this out to the town clerk and the moderator, because they actually are the ones, and I think it's more so the moderator that runs the election. So what are your thoughts about what we're facing? September 8th is the next one. Obviously, what is it? November 3rd is the one after that. But as we sit here in August, what are your thoughts about the September election and what we need to do?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that the September election is going to be hopefully a dry run and a practice run for what we're going to need to do in November when we have a large turnout. We do have quite a challenge in that we've got to make an environment which is not only safe for the voters, but safe for the workers, and provides an environment that's also welcoming. That's not, doesn't make people afraid to come to the polls or something like that. So I've worked with Mary Jo, of course, and I've been participating in the state level activities and following things at the federal level to see what we can do best to mount the election. The first point is we will be, just to get the broadest perspective, we will be doing a lot of things to encourage absentee voting. The Secretary of State has wisely chosen to open the range of what he calls disabilities that can be considered, so that pretty much anyone who's concerned with COVID-19 exposure can vote by absentee ballot. And I have been talking to Mary Jo about some ways that we can encourage that and help people in the community apply for absentee ballots and vote absentee. However, of course, we will still have in-person voting, and we will need to have an in-person voting facility that we can operate in a much different way than we typically do. And there's kind of three characteristics I see of what we're going to need to do. The first is we need more space than Town Hall has, period, because once we space people out, a minimum of like 6 feet between them when they're voting or doing pretty much anything, we need a bigger space because we can't just reduce the number of people that are voting simultaneously, down to 2 or 3, or our voting is going to go on forever. In addition, we cannot have waiting in line inside like we traditionally do, because we can't have that kind of crowded situation. It's unhealthy, it's potentially dangerous. So I am proposing the idea, and I believe we can do this, of in essence waiting in our cars. That the point of waiting will be in your car, not on foot. And that means even if it's pouring rain and a crummy November day, when we get to November, we'll have a line of cars as opposed to a line of people. And then we'll be asking people in essence, to park. You'll get out of the line of cars, as it were, and park, go in, vote, come out, leave. So the number of people actually in the polling place will be much smaller than it normally is. That means a lot of things are different. We're going to need more resources from the police department, of course, because we're going to have a kind of a traffic situation. We're going to need a space which allows us to line up cars. And we have a couple of places that might be suitable for that. I think we've already kind of, Tricia sort of mentioned them. I'll go through them in a second. But I think that will help us. I proposed and aggressively pitched the idea of, kind of a true vote from your vehicle. Because if you think about it, it kind of makes sense, right? You drive up, you show your ID, you check in, you get your ballot, you fill it in your car, and you hand it back on the way out, and you're done. Unfortunately, while that was done successfully for a number of town elections, the state is dead set against it. I think they could have been a little more flexible, and they could have interpreted the law a little differently than they chose to, but they are maintaining that providing a polling place effectively constitutes a building. Because I argued that in kind of meetings with them and their advisory committee, that we already allow people to vote from an electric vehicle, if you think about it, because we have residents who drive an electric vehicle into the polling place, and that we could potentially have a polling place which in essence was a parking lot. In other words, we'll put tape and cones around it, and you'd enter it in a vehicle the same way you can enter town hall in a wheelchair, which has wheels and is a form of a vehicle. And that in fact, that would constitute a polling place. The state is dead set against it. I think if we attempt to do that, we'll be in Rockingham Superior, arguing against the Attorney General. So we can't really do that. So I'm not even sure they'll go for the tent. However, I think from my point of view and the CDC recommendations, that if we're in a building, it's going to be a building that has all the doors open, and it's going to feel a little more like outside than inside. And there are a couple of places where we could potentially do that. We could potentially do that in the Memorial School. I thought the middle school might be helpful, but it's leased out, and there apparently will be students in there in a charter school which addresses a particular population of students. We cannot risk the situation where there are students or other people in a building that we're using for the election. Other people other than town employees or staff or that kind of thing. So we certainly can't use a school that has some students in part of it. If we are 100% certain that the Memorial School will be vacant and not in use for education during the November election, then that's a distinct possibility. Because the gymnasium is a good sized room, we'd have to clear it out, whatever that takes, but it's a good sized room. And some of our disability access and other problems we have with using that school are related to security when there's children present. In other words, opening and unlocking the door and some of those other things are not an issue if that's not being used as a school. So that's a possibility. The driveway there is not optimum for a large line of vehicles, but I think with some clever work from our chief and his team, we could set up a traffic scheme where we had a line that kind of snaked out onto Crane Crossing Road, or we'll do something. Well, it's possible in that area to set up a traffic situation. The other two possibilities we have is if the sale hasn't closed yet, the old firehouse, or of course our new safety complex. And of those, probably the new safety complex would be easier for traffic management because I think we could effectively close one half of Merrimack Road and have a car, a line of cars waiting to come in that was heading back to, on the side that would be coming from Massachusetts, and then have people that need to turn around and join the line. They could turn around, at where Hadley Road is. If you're familiar, there's like a little triangle there. So we could imagine a line of cars there. They won't be on 108. Traffic's pretty light on that road. And I think if we had we might have to have all hands on deck when it comes to the police department and maybe some people from the town road crew and maybe some fire guys to ensure we have a safe kind of traffic line management situation. Because on November 3rd, that line could have 50, 60, 70, could have 100 cars in it. So we have to be ready to manage a significant collection of vehicles. We do that now, but people park on their own, right? And then they just walk. So it's sort of less of an issue. So anyway, in that context, tents are theoretically interesting, but I think we'd be better off with the building, at least the kind of bays where the garage is, because we can obviously open them somewhat for ventilation. We have a pretty good amount of space in there. And even though a 30 by 30 tent sounds like a big tent, that's only good for like maybe 9 distanced voting person spots. And if there's a couple election people in there, that means we got 8 voters in that building. So when we start spreading voters out, you need a lot of room, right? It rapidly, if you think about it, if we're going to try to get in the order of 20 or 25 voting spots, they take up each close to 10 square feet. So we're not in the 900 square foot range, we're in the 2,000 square foot range if we're going to have the full capacity we normally have. I think the state's going to be flexible on that legal requirement, particularly if we know we have a large number of absentee ballots in the front end. So in terms of a couple things we need to do, and then I want to sort of maybe open it up for you guys to ask questions. We have to identify the building we're going to use. There's clearly a question, the gating question on the school is, are we sure they won't need it in November? Because that would be a problem. Then I think one of the main gating issues is traffic management. And I think I would like some input from Chief Jewett, in other words, in terms of what he thinks is the best and safest way to manage a line of cars, and rely on his input, in terms of where on the highway. And also that might also be our road agent, Mike Bavero, may have some input on that. And of course the board, in terms of a safe, solid way that we can manage a flow of cars where we have people waiting in cars. And then there's a couple other areas. I would like to engage the board in a process of also educating the voters, because we're going to make a lot of steps. We want them to know where to go, how to do it, what this process is going to be like, and most importantly, encourage people to understand it's going to be safe. And we have them in mind. In other words, that you're going to get a disposable pen. You're going to not have to be in a booth next to somebody else. You're not going to be in line inside for a long time. You're going to be just kind of camped out in your car. You're going to go in, you're going to vote quickly and leave. And if you did not already vote by absentee ballot and you're very concerned about going in to vote, then you can request an absentee ballot in your car. And the state doesn't like it. There is a legal basis to do it. It's intended for people that have a disability, maybe that cannot come into the polling place, so they can actually do a request for an absentee ballot from the car. We'll process that. They'll vote in their car in the sense of filling in the absentee ballot, which will get transferred back into the building as an absentee ballot, not an in-person ballot. So they're not voting. The polling place is not their car. It's just they're doing a same-day absentee ballot handed to the clerk, who then runs it into the building. So we'll be ready to do that if we have to. So we want to make sure that the voters understand that it's going to be safe, it's going to be easy, we're going to make it as efficient as we can. And if we can get a small tent, and I am hoping someone donates one for this purpose, you might even be able to stop in the parking lot and get some baked goods on the way out of the whole thing.
Right.
from some people who know and love at the library.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if we make that work, we're going to make that work out in the parking lot in a tent. We are planning, Mary Jo and I, to do a number of outreach things. I think we'll probably want to use the phone system that the town operates to call people up at some point, maybe. We are discussing having some outreach programs at the transfer station. And although we haven't yet discussed it with the supervisors, it might be possible before the November election in particular to try to get some voter registrations out of the way, because I think it would be possible for us to have maybe what we might call a mini outdoor registration and absentee application process, absentee voting fair with quotes around it, maybe in the parking lot of the safety complex or at the old town hall where everybody can find it, or the bank downtown, anywhere, so people could come out, get some of that stuff out of the way, get comfortable with what's happening, get information. And I think the one thing that probably ends up in the selectmen's department, which maybe I saved the worst for last, is we probably need some extra budgetary resources. For instance, we're going to have a significant team from the police department and probably the fire department on the day of the November election. Less, still some, but less so on the, the primary. But I think, if we're going to manage a line of cars instead of a line of people inside, Tricia's an expert at getting people in line to go to the right booth. But, I can't send my voting staff out in the street with flags and, start directing traffic. That's a job for people who are trained professionals for safety reasons. And that means we're going to kind of need, not one, representative from the police department out in the street, but probably more than one, and maybe quite a few. So that's what I have in a kind of first pass. And of course, I'd be happy to answer questions.
So Mary Jo, I know you guys have already talked, you and Bob, but anything else you'd want to add?
He's covered everything that we've discussed.
Okay.
There was another possible venue mentioned, Greenie Park with tents. There are porta potties and electricity. So that was also possibly suggested.
So great. So, I would throw it out to Chief Jewett first, who just heard from Bob. Chief Jewett, what are your thoughts in terms of, as he said, traffic restrictions at these buildings? What comes to mind?
I think on something like that, we'll have to obviously sit down and further discuss it, but whatever works for the majority of everybody, I'll be willing to try to get done.
All right. Kind of thought that'd be your answer. You're usually pretty flexible. I'll let the rest of the board jump in too, but my thing is 8 Merrimack Road is the newest, it's safety complex. It's newly paved, newly laid out. It's not that kind of, kitty cornered thing that we're used to. It's newer than the school. That's how I'd be leaning, but what's the rest of the board think?
Leaning to this is Kate, leaning that way too. I'm going to need a little more help conceptualizing this as we go forward, how it's going to work so people do maintain their distance in the parking. So I still need more information. I could even see a situation where, because of course the COVID, as you know, open air is the safest place to be if you're having groups of people. So there might even be some kind of, again, you guys think about it, but I wouldn't be against having even a tent, some outdoor tent where people, I don't know, just put that in the mix too if it helps maintaining social distancing and making everyone safe. Unless you can smush it all where it needs to, where people will pick up their pens and all these individual things so no one's on top of each other.
Yeah, I think I would just like to jump in on that and say, so tonight on this meeting, it's an initial meeting. We're not looking to solve every detail, but I think it's very important that we decide on a location tonight so that we can move forward with any, as Kate said, some sort of a, a layout, whether we use PowerPoint or something like that so people can conceptualize. Diane's doing the Vulcan mind meld or something like that. So Diane?
Just a quick one. There's construction going on right now. for the sprinkler system, how will that be impacted? Because there's big holes out in the back.
So I think we did let Mike go. It's never a good idea to let Mike go from these meetings, I think. He's always got some more information he can provide us, but we'd
I
have to
can
ask.
answer that if you want, because I
Go
already
ahead.
asked Mike and Larry did too, I think. So we asked Mike about, is the hole going to be filled in case we wanted people going around the building or even driving through the building. We've got 3 bays there. He said that he hopes to have the holes filled in within the next, say, 2 or 3 weeks. So September could be iffy. By November, obviously, it's going to be done. But I did ask him about that. So right now, the holes are pretty big, and depending on weather and what's going on, he said 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully to be filled in.
Okay, great. Larry and Charlie, do you guys have any thoughts?
So
No,
Bob,
Bob.
this is Larry. Go ahead, Chucky.
No, Bob Dismelic laid it right out good. I
Sure,
think
sure.
it should be at the correction. I think it came out good. And I also believe that hole should be filled in because he's doing pressure tests up there. But
Yep.
I think it'll probably be ready. You're talking 3 weeks, you're talking the end of the month, and we're talking September 8th for
Yep.
the election. So it should make it. And then, Matt, also there could be drive through the building, and they could hand the ones that don't want to get out of the cars could hand their ballots off to somebody and watch them put it in the machine if they feel uncomfortable that they're going to change their ballot or something on the way to the machine.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of options over there that we don't have in
Yes,
other.
there is.
Larry, what's
You're
your thoughts on this?
All right, so Bob, the state said the tents are definitely out. It has to be a physical building, correct?
Well, I don't think that's known. In the conversations I was involved with, there was a lot of pushback about the idea of being, quotes, outside. Even with, like, because one of the things I proposed was a tent that you kind of drove up next to, and then you handed the ballot to the moderator, or you put it in the machine, kind of, drive up style. And they nixed that idea. And they raised some issues about, what happens if the ballots get rained on. I mean, there's, the peripheral problems. So I think we're not going to be able, that's kind of going to be a gray area, and we may have to explore that with them. I also don't think it's a good idea to have people trying to drive through the bays of the building. I think there's too much risk of somebody not driving well or that kind of a problem. And I don't think it's necessary, because if people want to come in and vote, I think we can do that in a socially distanced way as long as we don't have crowds. And if we are kind of going with kind of a 3-tiered approach, which is 1, absentee votes for people who want to do them. And we will be working, I know Mary Jo and I are talking about ways that people can deliver their ballot by hand to the clerk, so they're not worried about it getting lost in the mail, which is a legitimate concern. Then we also have this, the situation where people can come in and vote, but they're going to be mostly waiting in their cars. And the reason I don't want them waiting outside standing is not a social distancing concern, because outside it's not hard to stay, 6 feet apart, and it's pretty, you got the wind, it's not going to be a problem. But it might be pouring rain at 40 degrees, right? It's entirely possible when we get to November. September 8th is probably going to be lovely, right? We may all want to be, standing around outside. But come November the 3rd, it's entirely possible it'll be pouring rain and 40 degrees. And nobody's going to want to stand in line, right? But so that's why I want to be organized that they can sit in their cars, right? Because then you sit in your car until, the time comes and you get up and go in and you vote and you go out, and there's no line inside. So I don't think the tents are out, but the tents have some challenges, one of which maybe the state may knock them out.
All right, so I think the first plan is definitely nail down 2 things: where you want it and how you want to do it, and then obviously we'll support you 110% to get it done.
Yep.
Whether it's drive through the building, drive through a tent, mail out ballots and have them filled out. We check their license with the proper ballots when they come to see us, and here, put it in the box. I mean, I've seen that in some towns where one person checks the license, and then they put it in the box. And then, They give them the ballot, and they actually put the ballot in the box. The box is outside. However, you guys want to do it, and of course you have to do it the legal way, however the state wants it. That's your expertise, but we'll support you whatever you need.
Absolutely right. Hey,
So-
Bob, what
Go
about
ahead,
the
Charlie.
candidates? What about the candidates? Where can they stand?
Well,
We
wherever,
don't care
That's
about
going to be
the
asked of
candidates,
me.
Charlie. Who cares about the candidates?
I do.
okay, wherever, if people, the candidates stand outside, right? And so I'm not worried about them. There's supposed to be a 10-foot wide path between the voters, so that, that you may be standing looking at people in their cars and waving through the windows, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
candidates are outside. And I know the candidates are a tough bunch, and I'm never worried about the situation of the weather. We will, thaw you out if you freeze. We'll take
Wait a
care of
minute,
the
Bob. Wait a minute.
candidates.
You're not getting what I'm saying. Do they stand up by the fire station or the police station, or do they stand down by the road?
Well, okay, I'm not going to
That's
make
what I
that.
was trying to get across.
I understand, Charlie. Thank you. I'm not going to make that decision tonight. I think let's say, and I think really the top of the list, the possibilities, is in fact the safety complex. And I would like to really, hear from the chief and other people who might be experts in moving cars around to think how they want to manage the vehicles. And I think then the candidates would be in a spot where they're not likely to be, disruptive of the traffic flow, but yet the voters can see them. Maybe they can interact with them from a distance. Remember, the most likely scenario is people drive up in their car, they wait in their car the same way they would wait inside. And when a group of people come out, another group gets out of their car and goes in. That's kind of the same way you wait at a market basket, right? Except instead of standing on the sidewalk, you just happen to be in your car to save you from getting rained on. That's all I'm trying to prevent by having people, wait in their cars as opposed to stand outside.
No, I understand that, Bob. I don't have a problem. I think you come up with a great idea, to be honest with you. I was just concerned because people are going to ask me, candidates going to ask me, where do we stand? Because it's town-owned property and how the town deals. You can't stand too far on town-owned property. And you don't want people, if you have them down by the street, for instance, you don't want them wandering up through the parking lot too.
Correct. I think we're going to have to, once we have a sort of traffic flow plan, which again is going to get driven by the,
I know y'all can see me.
probably by the chief is going to drive that plan. Once we know where the cars are going, we can make a sort of safe spot where the candidates won't get run over. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you'll
Mary
be
Jo?
Thank you.
Well, I was throwing that out now.
Thank you.
I was throwing it out now because I don't want to throw it out at the last minute.
No, it's a good point. We'll put on the list of stuff to figure out where the candidates, can safely be.
Okay.
Mary Jo?
What we need to do is pick a place, pick a venue, pick it now.
Yep.
And then we'll take it from there. Once we
Fire
have
station.
that, then we can plan everything else we need to do. First, let's pick a
Yep.
venue. And then
Yeah,
we'll
so-
have all the details, especially where we can put Charlie.
So I'm going to do this, and Diane, get ready. So I'm going to make a motion that we plan on the safety complex at 8 Merrimack Road for the September 8th election and ask all the necessary stakeholders to get together offline and come up with a conceptualized plan to bring back to the board.
Second.
Charlie's the
Friendly
second.
motion.
I second it.
All right.
Yeah, friendly
Charlie,
amendment, Matt.
sure, go ahead.
So you want to add in there whether it be inside or outside at that complex. So you want to add both of those in there.
Yeah, that's
Following the
that's
law.
fine.
Safety.
To
No,
me,
because
the
you said
plan
safety
is going to
complex.
be, it's going to be a highly detailed plan is what I'm looking for. So inside, outside, USA,
Okay.
whatever the tents, where the candidates stand, all that stuff. So I think they have their
Okay.
list. So,
I'm an aye.
all right. So Larry's and I, Kate,
Just the chief just refresh my memory. I believe we discussed this once before, and the chief, we want to make sure if there's, God forbid, there's a fire on that day, he's got a plan, right? We're good with that?
Yeah, that's why he needs to be a stakeholder.
Okay, just checking.
So, good
So
idea.
if he's on board, I'm an aye.
Well, can we have you vote on the motion that we have tonight, and then we'll probably hear from the chief later.
Okay,
So you're an aye?
Yep.
Okay. So Lisa had to drop off. I think, Charlie, I need your vote.
I'm an aye.
Charlie's an aye, Matt's an aye. So there you go. If you guys would please get back together, bring in the chiefs, bring in Mike, whoever else you think you need, and start coming up with the details. Like Larry said, we'll support you whatever you need, and we'll make this happen somehow.
and thank you
You
for
got
all your
half an hour
hard
to do
work.
it.
And I would underline the fact, like Bob said at the beginning of this whole thing, if people are out there watching this, if you've thought about doing absentee ballot, do absentee ballot. It's pretty straightforward, and it's makes sense. I myself would do absentee this year if I didn't have to be there to support all of this. So I think it's a good idea. Mary Jo's putting up her hand. She's got something.
Say something about the absentee balloting. A lot of people have issues. They think it's, they hear so many rumors out there about mailing in your ballots and, oh my God, it's fraud and it's not going to count. The state of New Hampshire has had absentee balloting in place for a gazillion years, since I can remember. It is practically flawless. It is just, it's a system of checks and balances. Nobody is going to get a ballot without my say-so. And for them to get one, they have to actually apply for one. And it has to be a specific application. And I'm not just going to go, okay, you applied to one, you can have one. I make sure they're a registered voter. And if they're not a registered voter, they must register to vote. And every time I touch that application, ballot, pencil, pen, it goes into a state system and it says exactly what I've done. It says so-and-so has asked for a ballot on this date. It says that I mailed so-and-so a ballot on this date. It says so-and-so mailed their ballot back to me and I received it on this date. And then they can go back and see, was their ballot counted? Was it rejected? It is a flawless system. As long as you get your ballot to me by election day, it will count. It's not one of these where people think, oh, we only count them if it's close. I don't know where that comes from. Every ballot is counted. It's accurate. We've never been wrong on our absentee ballots. And it is, like I said, a practically flawless system. And I do encourage people to do this. It will save a lot of traffic.
So you heard it here first. So absentee ballot is definitely a way to go. All right, anything else on elections before we move on?
Matt, I just wanted to say that Larry was able to get that electronic sign back from up in the northern part of the state that had to use it. And we discussed with Mary Jo what she wanted or what she suggested. And so it's at the old fire station, and it does say absentee ballots available, town clerk website. She's got it on her website. EOC has it on theirs. So we are already pushing that.
Great. Good job. Yeah, we'll use, as Bob, you asked, and we'll use whatever means we have to get the word out. So.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you guys for coming tonight. We'll plan on seeing you work with Diane at the next meeting. You're ready to kind of go through the details. We'd love to have you. So, all right. All right. So I'm going to move on to the agenda. And the next thing I believe we have is, we've talked about this before, the playground project, and this was for Greenie Park, and we have the board previously voted on the budget for this project and where it was all coming from. So now we have the actual quote from the playground equipment manufacturer. And the board had the quote to review prior to the meeting. So anything the board has any questions on this quote? So this quote is strictly for the equipment and the sort of the installation of the equipment. As we know, we have another vendor that's volunteering the site work. He's reached out and indicated he just needs to know when the estimated delivery time is on the equipment, and he's going to kind of back his schedule around that so that he'll have the site work ready before the equipment hits the ground. So, so we have the actual equipment and the installation, putting the equipment together, well, delivering it, putting it together, that sort of thing. So it is, looks like a total delivered price is $56,942. So that would be coming out of the warrant article, as well as the, what is it, the recreation revolving account? Is that what that was called? I believe we have the check now, the $9,000 that the citizens group raised, and they continue to try to raise more money. Difficult with COVID-19, but anybody have any questions, or does anyone on the board want to make a motion on this?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Are we gonna let the kids play on it once we get it?
You know, that is a good question. I thought about that the other day. I mean, I think the town's waited a long time to actually get this put in place. I think that needs to be our priority, but I don't know what the world's going to look like by the time this gets put in place.
Matt, I'm not
Yep.
going against it. All I'm saying, are we gonna let the kids play on it when they get it? That's all.
Yeah,
Only time will tell, Charlie.
yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, but
You know, it's like everything else. It comes down to they're playing baseball. It comes down to when you touch that ball, you go into the dugout, you sanitize your hands. It's like you go on a playground. It's new. Chances of it being covered in COVID-19 is very slim to none. But you sanitize after you use it. I mean, totally up to the parents. But by the time it goes in and all that, it's going to be fall. So we'll see.
Larry, you're answering my question. We're gonna let them play on it.
Well, right now, I think they're playing on it. I was down there the other night for a ball game, and the kids were playing on it. And that's the old one.
yeah,
So it's totally up to the parent. Go ahead, Matt. I'm sorry.
They shouldn't be. It's the old one's closed.
That's right.
Well, no, they were on it. Last week, I went to the ball game. They were playing on it.
All right. So that's a item to discuss maybe later on if we want to just broach this subject.
So, Matt, what was the total for the motion? Need a motion to accept
56.
the equipment quote?
$56,942.00.
56,942.67.
0 cents.
0 cents. Okay.
Yep. And this is a requisition. Nancy, you have this, right? I think Nancy's on mute.
Do I have what, Matt?
You have a requisition for this, right?
I don't believe I've seen a requisition. Have you, Diane? No.
No.
And
So-
I'm also curious about that 9,000. I haven't received that either.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think we should probably table this if we don't have a requisition. I was told that Kim had everything she needed, but
She may, I'm not sure. Nothing's been said to me.
okay. So
Well,
does
Matt,
the board?
did somebody tell you they turned it in?
Yeah, the the parent or the citizens group, the Friends of Greenie Park, asked what we needed for a requisition, and I put them in touch with Kim, and then I told Kim to send it over to Diane to add it to the agenda once she had everything she needed.
So, all right, so it made it on the agenda. So did Kim call you to put it on the agenda?
She sent me an
Diane?
email.
All right, so can we approve it, Matt, providing that Kim has all the documentation instead of waiting for the next meeting? If she doesn't have all the documentation, then it won't go through.
Why don't we take that as a motion? Anybody want to second it? Anybody? Is somebody seconding on mute, maybe? Did
I
we
mean, it's only a
lose?
quote, and it's a requisition and a check. If she has those two items tomorrow, then it's good to go.
Right.
All right,
Can't be tying it up for them 2 weeks.
Okay, I'm looking, and we know Lisa dropped off. I think we lost Kate. So,
All right.
all right, I'll second. All right, any discussion before we vote? Okay, Larry,
Aye.
Charlie,
No.
okay, and Matt's and I. So that one carries.
I can say that Kim won't let anything go through if she doesn't have everything in hand. I'm very confident of that.
What I figured. Looks like Kate is trying to get back on. Diane, if you can press the little button.
Okay, she's back.
Okay. So I think she's on mute. Kate, we just voted, and what we just voted on was the requisition, pending the fact that we believe Kim has what she needs, but if she doesn't, then we want to revisit this. But Kim asked to have it added to the agenda, so we're reasonably sure she has what she needs. So the vote went like this. Larry made the motion. I seconded. Larry and I were yeses. Charlie was a no. Kate, what's your vote?
So we're only voting to fulfill the warrant article, basically, correct?
Well,
Yes.
Warrant article is only part of it, but we're.
Yeah, and getting the funding to do what the town wants to do. Okay, aye.
Okay, so we'll capture that as 3-1. All right. So.
This is the stuff that gets us in trouble, Matt.
Meaning, what did I miss?
Meaning that we don't have all our paperwork in place before we do it.
Yeah.
Oh, did I miss that? I must have missed that.
No.
Okay, but Larry has the caveat there, so that's why I voted yes. And I'm looking at the quote right now. So we all have that, right, Diane, on our shared drives?
Yep.
We just don't have a cover sheet from Kim.
Correct.
To go with it. So, all right. So going down the agenda, looks like review the new fire truck motion from July 22nd. Sounds like this is a cleanup of a motion.
You'll need to rescind the first motion, Matt, because that one was incorrect.
Okay.
I think Diane sent out an email today.
Right. Everybody should have gotten the new script on this. Anybody want to make this motion to rescind and then the new one?
I'm not sure how to word it, so I'll let someone else do it. I'm looking at the email though.
So I make a motion to rescind the fire truck lease motion that was made on July, what's the date?
22.
July 22nd, 2020.
There a second?
Second.
Charles the second. Let's do the roll call vote. Kate, how do you vote?
Aye.
Charlie?
Aye.
Larry?
Aye.
And Matt's and I. So that is unanimous to rescind the previous motion. Now we have the new motion. Larry, did you want to make that?
So it's the new motion to allow the fire department the up to $12,000 for the shelving
No.
for the new
No.
fire truck.
No, 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 no,
No,
no.
7,742.
Thank you.
You
So
didn't let
there's
me
a-
finish the motion.
Oh,
Right,
sorry.
but-
Okay.
You just-
But Larry,
So
there's the motion is in your email.
Yeah, but I can't get the email. I'm on my phone. I'll lose the call.
Okay.
So I know it was 7,600 and whatever it was, correct? And then the remaining to come out of his budget.
The wording
Right.
is in, the wording for the warrant article has already been written. Maybe somebody who has it in front of them should read it.
Okay. I
I've
remember you
got
putting that in
it.
there, Nancy.
What?
All right. Go ahead, Kate.
All right, so I move to authorize the expenditure of up to $7,742 for the additional cost of mounting shelving boards for the new fire truck to be paid with the available funds in the 2020 lease payment from warrant article number 18.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Larry. Discussion?
Yeah, discussion. Are we gonna go over the remaining balance, where that's coming from? So we have to cover the whole cost?
No,
Right.
the additional amount will come from either the capital reserve fund or from the budget.
Right, so we don't have to vote on that tonight then?
No, because that's already a given.
Okay, all right. No,
I guess if
good.
he wanted to take it from the capital reserve, the board should vote to do that because they're the agents.
Yeah,
But he's
this,
not here tonight to tell us, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
so we can do that later, but he's got the go-ahead
Okay.
to tell the truck people.
yeah,
All right, I'm good.
the intention of this was clerical cleanup
Right.
tonight.
Okay.
So, all right, so Larry was the second, right?
Right.
So,
Correct.
Kate, how do you vote?
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
and Matt's an aye. So that is unanimous on that one. Let me go back to the agenda. Looks like we have some, it's a memo to treasurer, release of letter of credits.
So basically, we, these were for like on Heath Street. The houses have been, have a certificate of occupancy. So in theory, they are all set to be occupied. So the road bond is no longer needed.
Okay. So we got this from the planning board. Is that what the
No, the
Normally-
road agent.
road agent?
Yeah, this comes from him.
All right.
But-
Anybody
well,
wanna
once
make-
Yeah, once the certificate of occupancy is done, he checks it and he's okay with everything.
All right. Anybody want to make a motion to release the letters of credits for these two tax maps?
So the
I
letter of
make a
credit,
motion
okay,
to
the
release the letter of credits for, can I just have the number on Heath?
tax map 4-3-6-7 and tax
4-3-6-7
and 8-8.
and -8.
Okay.
To release the road bonds.
All right. Anybody want to second that?
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Any discussion? Let's go around. Kate,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
and Matt's and I. So letter H, Diane, you have an announcement for people who
Matt?
want.
Matt, excuse me.
Nancy, go ahead.
We skipped over E.
Yeah, we did. So
Okay,
we've,
you knew.
yeah, we've got that worked out.
Not exactly.
No.
I don't have enough, I didn't get enough of the members answering the question.
All right, so let me put it this way. The members should have gotten the question today. This is something, and I don't want to discuss sort of the high level question here tonight, which is a miscommunication, I think, with some department heads that they need to go to the Board of Selectmen with any little thing like this. And what this is a quote for $320, correct, Diane?
$325.
$325 to have a vendor empty the holding tank at the new fire station. And the fire chief put it on our agenda for this meeting. And like I said, tonight I think we need to discuss the larger issue later on, which is what is the correct process for, these building type items. But tonight I just want to make sure if somebody wants to make a motion and we can approve this $325 expenditure.
So move.
Yeah, exactly.
Second.
Diane, can you just read off the vendor and all that stuff?
Yep. So Pete's septic system will, I guess, empty or
Drain.
Empty the wastewater.
Pump.
pump.
Empty
Yeah,
the
there it.
wastewater.
Pump the wastewater from the holding tank for $325.
All right, so Larry was the so moved. Charlie was the second. We'll do go around the horn here. Kate, how do you vote? Kate's on mute.
Aye, I'm back, aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Charlie?
I'm definitely an aye.
Okay, and Matt's an aye. So that one's all set. So we're now back to H in the announcement. Diane, you want to just give the announcement on the DOT meeting?
So they're going to be holding a Zoom meeting on August 13th at 6 p.m. to discuss and take public input for the Rose Corner, how people think it should go. They have ideas out there, whether it be a four-way stop sign, a rotary. They're looking for the public's input. And the information on how to get on there, onto the Zoom meeting, is on the town homepage website.
All right, so anyone who wants to join, please look for that on the website, and that is a week from tomorrow night, right? At 6
Correct.
p.m.
That's a Thursday, correct.
Yep. All right. All right, anybody want to approve the minutes from July 21st? I would like to move to approve the Selectmen's non-public and public meeting minutes from July 21st. Anybody want a second?
Second the motion.
Second.
Kate seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. Larry?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Charlie?
Aye.
And Matt's an aye. Anybody want to do the minutes from July 22nd? Public.
So moved.
Make
Pull a Charlie.
a motion to accept the minutes of July 22nd public meeting as written.
All right, so we'll call that Larry, and a second from Kate. How about that?
Aye.
Okay, so Kate's and I, Larry,
Aye.
Matt's and I, or I'm sorry, we didn't ask Charlie. Charlie
Aye.
and Matt's and I. So that one is unanimous. So we got the vendor manifests. Anybody want to give those a go?
Does anybody have them open? There's a whole bunch of them.
I don't.
All right, let me do this. So I need somebody to motion to sign the vendor manifest dated July 28, 2020 in the amount of $1,230,539.31, of which $1,138,819 goes towards the September Sanborn Regional School District.
That's closed.
That's
I'll
close.
make that motion.
So Larry's the so moved, and do we get a second on that?
Second.
Seconded by Kate. Any discussion? All right, Charlie, how do you vote?
I gotta vote aye.
Larry,
Right.
Aye.
Kate,
Aye.
and Matt's and I.
Okay, then
Go ahead.
I need a motion to sign vendor manifest dated August 4th, 2020 in the amount of $76,157.32.
So moved.
Okay, get a seconded by Larry. All right, discussion. Let's go around. Kate, how do you vote?
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
and Matt's and I. So that one's unanimous as well.
I need a
Continuing.
motion. Do you want me to continue?
Yes, please.
I need a motion for the Highway Revolving Fund manifest dated July 28, 2020 in the amount of $8,320.
So moved.
That was so moved by Charlie, a second by Larry. Discussion? All right. Roll call. Kate, how do you vote?
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
and Matt's and I.
I need a motion to sign Highway Revolving Fund manifest dated August 4th, 2020 in the amount of $70,978.87.
So moved.
So moved by Larry. Anybody want a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Charlie's the second. Let's go around. Kate, how do you vote?
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
and Matt's and I.
I need a motion to sign the Police Special Details manifest dated July 28, 2020 in the amount of $1,888.50.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Larry. All right. Kate, how do you vote?
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
and Matt's and I.
I need a motion to sign the Police Special Details manifest dated August 4th, 2020 in the amount of $328.38.
So moved.
Let's call that Larry with a second by Charlie. How about that?
Yep.
All right. And roll call vote. Kate,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
and Matt's and I.
I need a motion to sign the Fire Rescue Station vendor manifest dated July 28, 2020 in the amount of $350.
So moved.
Yeah, Charlie likes those price tags. Can somebody second?
Second.
Seconded by Larry. Roll call vote. Kate,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
and Charlie,
Aye.
Matt's and I.
I need a motion to sign Fire Rescue Station manifest dated August 4th, 2020 in the amount of $43,606.41.
So moved.
So moved.
All right. So moved by Charlie. Larry, you want to be the second?
Second.
And so Kate, how do you vote?
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
and Matt's and I.
I need a motion to sign Cable Revolving Fund manifest dated August 4th, 2020 in the amount of $4,656.
So moved.
So moved by Charlie.
Second.
Is there a second by Larry? Roll call vote. Kate,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
and Matt's and I.
I need a motion to sign payroll manifest for pay period July 19th through August 1st, 2020 with a pay date of August 6th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Charlie. Roll call vote. Kate,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
and Matt's and I.
Okay, do you want me to do the appointments like that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Would the board approve of Sarah Woodman to the Cable Committee for a 2-year term, which will expire on April 30th, 2022?
Did you say
So
Sarah
moved.
Woodman?
Sarah Woodman,
Sarah Woodman. Okay.
better known as Sally.
Yeah, I would say so. Sally's the nickname, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that. Interesting.
Okay. Her
Okay,
legal
so right. So I'll move for that one. Somebody want a second?
Second.
Seconded by Larry. Roll call vote. Kate,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
and Matt's an aye.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the appointment for Christine Kaminsky to the Cable Committee for a 3-year term, which will expire on April 30th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Seconded by Larry. Okay, roll call vote. Kate,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
and Matt's an aye.
The next one is mine. I don't know if you, maybe Nancy, can you do that one?
You did, they're gonna vote for it.
Yeah,
All
one
right.
would hope.
I need,
What is the term?
it's a 3-year term to April 30th, 2023.
For Diane Moran, I'll make that motion.
I'll
And
second
can I
it.
get a seconded by Charlie? And we'll do a roll call vote. Kate,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Charlie,
Aye.
and Matt's an aye.
I think that's everything that I have on the list at this point on the agenda.
Wow, that's a lot. All right, so anything else for the board before we wrap it up for tonight? All right, when next we meet will be next Wednesday night for another COVID-19 meeting. Regularly scheduled Tuesday meeting would be the following after that. So next Tuesday night's a planning board, right? So I believe. Did somebody want to say something? No? Okay, who wants to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
That is moved by Charlie, and Kate, you're the second.
Second.
Second, all in favor. All right, have a good night, everybody.
Aye.
Thank you for your attention, and we'll see everybody soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.